What's going on, guys? Last night was pretty interesting. We had the moves down that we expected, and if you guys remember, I was talking about how it went up and it was looking to potentially come back down towards the support and resistance levels, the psychological support resistance, and it came back down, retested the top of the support resistance, the psychological level, and it also retested the trend line it broke and filled in these gaps. I didn't go over that. I usually do. Just completely went blank on it. But when they push up this high, they tend to come in and fill. Now the question is, what does it want to do? And if we look at the higher time frames here, this is where you're really going to get your secret. Is this thing wants to go down? You know, it broke structure, broke structure, broke structure. Everything is pointing down, and that this whole move is a pullback. And if we look at the 50 EMA here, it went right up to it, bounced off it through a nice little but gigantic railroad or engulfing pattern. And now we're going to see it potentially drop again. The TDI looks good for a continuation drop. So it's there. Now, the thing is, what's it going to do? It's not going to just automatically, keep continuing down. What we could see is it push up into this zone, which is a imbalance right here on the 4 hour. That's an imbalance, the whole thing. And we also have a supply zone, and it's also in the 50 or the 200 moving average. So it's just an area that if it's going to continue, it's going to drop from here, or we're going to see it hit and potentially consolidate and continue while throwing a pattern in this zone. It could be a bullish pendant, which looks like this, right? That's a bullish pendant. It could be a ascending triangle, which if I draw it out, looks like this. And then we can see a stop hunt down and back up. Like there's a couple things that can happen, but like I said, well, you weren't there for it, but what I said on the paid version was that we need to wait for this to set up for New York session. This is too soon. We're developing all the stops right now. This pair might be blown out. It might consolidate until the week is ended. It's very possible it could just go up and back down, or I guess I go up and then continue up. I need to see it push up. Ultimately, I want to see this. If I don't see this, I'm not touching it. If it continues down first, I'm not touching it because it's hitting a place of resistance and reactions that have been shown throughout time to consistently react on. Now, if we're going to see it push, once it gets up here, we're going to look for a reversal pattern, or we're going to look for a continuation pattern. That's it. And now we're going to go to GBPUSD, which is essentially the same thing. These pairs are moving almost identically, and that's because the dollar is influencing them the most. And just like Euro USD, the daily on here is still overall downtrend. I wanted it to kind of consolidate first, potentially push up to this 50 first, but it doesn't always have to do that. This thing could push down one more time, then do a massive pullback to where the 50 lines up and then continue down and reverse, right? So we have room, but this is something where it's the same thing where I'm going to be needing this thing to push up first. I want to see it push up, and it's either going to consolidate and continue, or it's going to hit and reverse, right? And that's a supply zone. That's also why I drew it. It's a pretty big supply zone. So you're not touching this pair. If you want to get in earlier and predict the sell, I mean, by all means, if you have other indications, go ahead and do that. But for me, I like to wait for it to get to specific zones. And then based on what it does in that zone, I'll know whether it's going to continue up or if it's going to drop, right? So we're going to wait till New York session. At least I am. And I highly suggest you guys do that and see how it moves. And the next one is USDJPY. I'm still not touching this pair. Reason because just look at it. I mean, unless you're looking at this thing from like a daily perspective and you're like, okay, like this thing's still going up, like that's not a reversal. Remember, here's a nugget for you guys. And I tell this to the students all the time. This is a reversal pattern where you have multiple hits. You have clean hits to highs, and they tend to just drop immediately after getting to those points. Now, this is what we're seeing here. You have a hit to a high, a drop, and a hit to the high, but instead of going right back down, see how this one just dropped right here? It didn't do that here. It didn't drop. What's it doing? It's consolidating. And since it's consolidating for that, what every retail trader thinks is an M formation, that's a continuation pattern to me. So even though all of us want to potentially see this thing drop, I think based on the zone that I have drawn up right here, that I've had drawn up for a month and a half now, if not longer, I think we're going to see it push up. I think we're going to see it push up into that zone. And when it does, that's when we're going to be able to look for the sells, because that is a high, and there is no clear indication that this thing wants to drop. And if you don't have a clear indication that this thing is going to reverse, like I mean head and shoulders pattern, M patterns, some sort of bullish or bearish engulfing candle or some sort of candle formation, why are you looking for sells? You shouldn't. So continue with the bullish move. So with that being said, I'm still not going to touch this pair. I mean, look at all these equal highs. Like equal highs. This is a pendant all day long. Look at this. Equal highs, gradual moves up, price consolidates within it, and then continues. That's what's playing out right now. So if you want, this actually, because of how I just drew this up and how price is getting closer and closer, you are more likely to see this thing push up for a buy. And if this thing pushes up for a buy, that means what I just said on Euro USD and GBP USD is correct. That means we're looking for overall sells because it wants to go back down. There's no reversal pattern. That's not a reversal pattern. Some might say it's a head and shoulders at the bottom here, but that is not a really clean. I mean, here's the head and shoulders. Left shoulder, head, right shoulder, rise. Perfect. You got your buy. That was it. Now it's consolidating, but this is only a pullback. It's in a bullish channel, and I think it's going to come back and it's going to retest the bottom of this channel, and then it's going to break it. It's going to go up, come back down, break through, retest, drop, or have some sort of news event that makes it go boom, and then just tanks. Other than that, I mean, that's it. So careful looking at a USDJPY. I think it's going to continue into this zone. There's nothing telling me it's not. All bullish pennants are there. Euro USD is everything saying sells on the higher time frames, and that's what we do. We look for the higher time frames. So look for it to push up into this zone and then drop. And then GBPUSD, same thing. Look for it to push up into the supply zone and then drop and continue with the overall trend. So thanks for hopping on, guys. Let's see how tonight plays out, and let's rack them. Peace out.